Most people forget about Shia LaBeouf's other movie from 2007. No, I'm not talking about Transformers. I'm talking about Surf's Up, dude. I'm Seth, and today is day 18 of 365, revisiting every movie I've seen in theaters with the stubs to prove it. There we go, Mason. I saw Surf's Up in theaters. I paid $9 to see this movie when it came out in theaters, so I supported this movie, even though Sony says it was a flop. Before we jump into this, what's your favorite penguin movie? Yes, I'll accept Madagascar. Surf's Up is directed by Brannon and Chris Buck. It stars Shia LaBeouf, Jeff Bridges, Zooey Deschanel, and John Heder as Chicken Joe, low-key best character in the movie. $100 million movie, made $150 million back. Yikes. But that budget was actually there because they were developing new technology for animating water to get the super realistic waves that you see in the movie. I think it was worth it. It adds something overall, and not only that, but they were being experimental with their shooting technology, combining motion capture and documentary style camcorders to achieve that look that they have. The mockumentary thing, while feeling like it was riding the high on The Office, was actually intentional and I think adds a really fun layer to the movie. This is a soundtrack of the summer family movie. I kind of miss this. We don't really do these anymore except for the Trolls movies or the Sing movies. Let's carve a review for Surf's Up. A very fond memory that I have of this movie from that time is renting the DVD, I think either from Wonderbook and Video, or it might have been at our church library, but once it was there, we were scrubbing through footage of the little kid penguins and like claiming one for each of us as siblings growing up, watching them get tossed around in the background of the third act and it being so funny to us. I think it's no wonder that there are YouTube channels dedicated to sleuthing their way frame by frame through movies, because we were doing that for fun as kids. I don't know about y'all, but that was a regular thing for us. I was really happy to see that this one was in the pile that I went to see Surf's Up in the movie theaters. This one's in really good condition too. I'm making note of that as we go through. Some of them are dilapidated, but a lot of these are in really, really great condition still. I do remember the third act of this movie, watching it in theaters as a kid. I think everyone thought that the mockumentary style was here because of the Office fever that we were feeling at the time, that the Office had kind of taken the place of Friends in the everybody watches this show kind of way. I think it was interesting to see our movie media start to reflect that. However, I think this movie really intentionally wanted to use that technique and actually introduce it into the filmmaking. So this is something that they imagined from the inception as part of the creative process, the writing process, and the technical process by using digital camcorders and motion capture in congress with each other to make this really, I think, unique style to the movie. You add really excellent animation on top of that. A lot of the budget, like I said at the top, is due to the fact that they were making new technology to make these waves look the way that they look. And water technology is something that people will continue to geek out about forever. The first time that somebody put a flat blue plane next to a green plane, we've always wanted to stand on the green and look out over the blue. Anytime you start to introduce that into your art and animation, and especially when you're generating it and creating it, where it can be so easy to go get in nature sometimes, you're instead deciding to craft it yourself. Wow, I really respect that in filmmaking. I could see this one being a meme factory. Any cult following that it has, I'm excited to see who pops up in the comments. Every movie that I post in this series, I'm always ready to like defend the parts that I really enjoyed and tear into the stuff that I didn't. And people will always show up in the comments and be like, man, I really, really liked this movie. And it always reminds me, like, there's always going to be one defender for even a shitty movie. Now, nobody was in the comments defending 3, but also nobody watched that video because nobody watched that movie. Oh well. Something else I really respect about Surf's Up is how niche it's going with its references. Really invested in surf culture. Not only surf culture, but surf culture media and documentaries around the sport and movies around the sport are the driving force behind the creative vision in this. And instead of opting for easy pop culture references, which they do still have, this movie takes shots at Happy Feet. It just happens that 2 penguin movies were coming out around the same time, and this was like the grown-up teenage version. George Miller was making those movies for his kids too, which I really respect. And honestly, we had Penguin Fever. March of the Penguins, I think, comes out sometime in this area. We just were really fucking with penguins in the early 2000s. I don't know. Madagascar does show up, I think, later on in this list too. John Heder as Chicken Joe is worth highlighting, I think, because I know my friend Mason loves this movie, and specifically that character. And watching it last night, I was really enjoying how zen and detached that character is. Everything's an upside. Nothing's a downside. You cannot get Chicken Joe down. And then he fucking shreds that shit at the end too. He's like actually a good surfer. Oh my god. I see what we see in this character. Chicken Joe all the way, baby. All the way. The reference with calling Jeff Bridges' character the geek instead of the dude, Big Lebowski, but also a geek in the entertainment industry is somebody that has been dropped down social caste system. Nightmare Alley is a movie that's literally about this process, and so I think it's a kind of a unique double-edged thing. This movie's always a little sharper than you want to give it credit for because it is so stoner culture, and it is relying on people that have like goofy underage tones to it, but that doesn't mean that it can't have like a sharp commentary or anything like that. This is also Sony's first animated movie without humans in it. I think that's an interesting thing for how human it ends up feeling with its depictions of suburban life and family and feeling rebellious and looking up to people and being disenfranchised with life. There's so many elements floating through this that I think it's really funny. There's no people in this, and it's a very people movie. I really enjoyed Surf's Up. Anytime I get to revisit this one, I'm gonna have a good time. The jokes hit, the physical humor still makes me laugh. There's a lot here going on that I really enjoyed. Also, you gotta give it to Sony. They're willing to go further than a Disney movie would. That like somebody gets peed on. That's funny enough for like a teen-centered movie to give it that slight extra edge that I know I loved it as a kid and I love the movie still now, so something's got to have held up across that time. But that's going to do it for this one. We're going to stay on the Shia LaBeouf train, but we're going to get off onto the Transformers station. Listen, I can defend a lot in this first movie. I'm curious to see how it feels now today. I know that filming style is not something I really enjoy, so we'll see how that works out for me. You can check out my review for this one and for all the other movies on Letterboxd. I made a list you can subscribe to in some way, I think, and I'm constantly adding to that list as well. You can also check out the full list over on Patreon, where you get early access to these reviews, as well as a exclusive podcast. Direct access to me, I guess, is an advantage there too. And everyone that signs up over this month, I'm giving away ticket stubs. I'm laminating them and mailing them out, and they're kind of cool. It would mean a lot to me to have people's support along this project. It's a long road ahead, but we are plugging our way through, and I'm having a good time. A lot of these movies were really good and are really fun on the rewatch. From there, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, bro.